Are you sitting comfortably? Then we'll begin.
'Hello again, and welcome to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, broadcasting from the unceded Musqueam Territory at the University of British Columbia. If you're listening to this show on the podcast, this is episode 213. I'm Michael McCall.
I'm Steve Pander.
I'm Gideon Hill.
We've got a lot to get through. It's been a busy week in Whitecaps land, Canadian soccer as well. We're going to cover all that and a lot more tonight. Kicking things off, though, with a look at the disappointing, or was it, loss of points in Colorado. And that's the first thing I want to put to you guys. It's like last week we were cock-a-hoop, thrashed Dallas in Dallas, 4-0 win. As we've talked about several times this year, the Caps seem to play themselves up when it's against a good team. Then when it's not that good a team, they seem to drop their levels a little bit, and then they're down a little bit at that. So a 2-2 draw in Colorado. Most years, going to Colorado in the summer, in the altitude, in the heat, you're happy with a point. Good point to pick up, Steve? Or did you feel it was 2 points lost, considering the performance they had put in the week before, and just how tough Colorado have found it so far this year?
I think they should have gotten the 3 points. But in fact, I don't blame Colorado I don't blame Vancouver for losing those 2 points, because I feel like they did what they had to do. There was unfortunately a couple of really bad misses, not bad misses, but near misses that they should have scored on. And I think that the goals they let, especially the first one, another unfortunate bounce, where it bounces off Williams, goes off the other guy, and goes right to a back heel, which set up the goal, which is like a second back heel that set up a goal in the last 3 games, I think, the going ahead goal.
Yeah, we'll talk about the goals and back heels a lot more in this section. But Gideon, did you feel it was a good point to pick up, or did you feel it was 2 points lost, considering just how the Rapids have been this year?
Well, in the past, you would say the Whitecaps, if they're down 2-1 on the road, some people might say they'd haul it in, but they did a very good job to bring themselves back. Montero with an excellent finish. But if you would have told me 7 points out of 9 games in LA, Dallas, and Colorado, I would not have believed you. That's a very respectable point total from those 3 toughest, arguably one of the toughest places to play in Major League Soccer. So they did a very good job to come back, and they did get 2 disallowed goals in that game in Colorado last night, which is unfortunate. Not a lot to talk about that one, but either way, a very respectable 2-2 draw in Colorado.
Yeah, I mean, as soon as the match finished, I felt a tad disappointed, because I just thought they would win it. You're looking to get 6 out of 6 on the road, which would have been fantastic. 4 out of the 6 on the road is excellent. There's another game coming up in New England, which we'll talk about in the second part. You're looking at the Caps could realistically take home 5-7 points from this road trip, which, considering how things have been previous summers, I mean, it's fantastic. And
I think that, I know you're disappointed in that, but think of it this way. They got 4 out of 6 points in Colorado, not just 4 out of the 6 points in the last 2 games.
Yeah.
This year, and that's not thing that they usually do. They rarely get points in Colorado. They do get a win once in a while, maybe once every couple of years, but this year they got 4 out of 6.
I mean, I was a bit happier about the performance when I woke up this morning. It was just the initial feeling.
Well, maybe that was the difference because I was at the fireworks yesterday, so I didn't get to watch the game live, and I watched it the next day.
I missed all the fireworks last night.
Fireworks were on the pitch last night in Michael's home.
But the lineup, there were some more changes to it, which we expected because there were some guys rested in Dallas, and you knew that some of them were going to be brought back. But then Robinson had rewarded a lot of the people for the Portland game because of how well they had done in LA. So you're wondering, is he going to keep that going, and is he going to reward and start the same starting lineup? Looking at just a couple of the changes.
Yeah.
Big one at right back, and Shane Williams kept his place at the sake of Player of the Month, Jake Nerwinski.
No, I disagree with that one. I think Jake would have been a good choice there. And I think another one I really didn't like was Christian Teixeira not coming back in the lineup. I thought he should have been back in there. I know Bernie Abisi scored the goal, but I think that Christian Teixeira has shown enough, and when he came on, he made a big difference in the game, and I think he deserved, even though he might not have been part of the Dallas win, but I think he deserved a spot just as play this year so far.
Yeah, I mean, it's nice to see Bernie Abini play and get some minutes, especially he has been pulled off earlier than some people would have liked as he was pulled off, because he might not have as much fitness as Jordy Reyna does. But I was okay with him starting. Unfortunately, Teixeira has not started in the past 2 games, has broken his consecutive streak, but when he came on, he definitely changed the game. The service, some free kicks, and different crosses in the box were just incredible. And you hadn't seen that all game really from corner kicks or really anything for the Whitecaps.
Like if anybody was to get rest yesterday, I should have been Bolaños, I think. Out of the two that didn't play in Dallas, if they wanted to give extra rest to one of them.
Yeah, I mean, I expected Abini to keep his place in the starting lineup, so that wasn't a huge surprise. I thought though that, Bola would be the one that would be rested, and I thought they would bring Teixeira in to have those up the wings. 4-4-1-1 formation is what the team set out to be. Didn't always keep that shape because players are very fluid and they kind of move in and out of that. But, I mean, I thought it worked. If we look at the start of the game, Caps had a little bit of a scare in the opening minutes. There was Hairston within a hair really of taking the lead for Colorado with a shot that went past the left post. Then the Caps just went straight up the pitch and took the lead with a fantastic finish from Chaney.
Yeah, perfect spotting of the shot. And he was able to pick that up, and just Howard had no chance. I don't think Howard could even see the ball.
No, I don't know if it was deflected or not, but it was just a perfect shot. Some players would try and hit that one high outside the box, but nicely done to place it low and off the post, and a nice lead for the Whitecaps.
And when they took the lead, I did feel at that point, I thought, they're going to go on now. They're going to be comfortable winners in this. But to their credit, Colorado knuckled down. They got themselves back into it. Thoughts on that goal?
Yeah, second ball is on. I believe it was a free kick or corner kick. Either way, it's tough to get rid of second balls dropped down the area, especially with a guy like Schuberg. He does have the physical presence, but it was a good shot from him. But either way, I think it could have been avoided for the Whitecaps' perspective.
I think the former Thunder Bay Chill player, I think he made a smart move to get away. Like usually you stay in that area, but he actually broke away from his defender.
Yeah.
I think it was Tim Parker defending him. What was it, Jacobson? One of them were definitely. And he just got away, rolled around, and he found a spot. He got a little lucky that Williams' clearance header didn't really get out of the box.
Yeah.
But other than that, he got away and he found a spot to score.
I mean, it was a disappointing defensive effort for a lot of the match from the Whitecaps again. And Williams, it was his header that wasn't cleared. He didn't necessarily lose Schuberg, but that was the position that you would expect Williams to have actually been in to start with. But when you see a guy like that just having so much free space to do what he basically wants in the box, you know that something's broken down somewhere. So, I mean, that's going to have disappointed them. But, I mean, even with that, you did feel, I thought, that the Caps were going to get themselves back in it and then go on and do something, get the win.
But it was that free kick that in the second half that really, that was just, I hate that one. I hated more because that was just a poor delivery by Bola.
Yeah,
and then at that point, Lava did his normal foot stab into try to and then because he did that, he was left completely out of position. And I remember seeing that I think there were 3 players behind him when that happened, like Bola and 2 defenders. And by the time the ball got there, I think 4 other Caps had passed him by. Like he was the 7th man back or something like that, even though he was maybe the 4th highest in. It was like he was still jogging at that point. He wasn't even still in a sprint or anything like that. But there's nothing you could do like that. If that delivery was like maybe into the box, deeper into the box, maybe that doesn't even happen where they're able to counterattack.
I mean, they were Vancouver. They were like beaten by a quick breakaway, and it's just disappointing to have that happen to them when that's what they're known for.
Yeah, me and Steve were talking on the way here about back heels in past, and I remember in Portland 2 weeks ago Sunday when Ebobisi assisted to a goal for Portland. Again yesterday, just a bad bounce again for the Whitecaps, a nice little pass from Hairston, and a good finish as well for Kevin Doyle, who's been a man in somewhat form for Colorado this year.
Yeah, I mean, Doyle and Ousted had a few tussles before that. Ousted getting the better of him with a couple of saves. I mean, talking about the back heels, the amount of back heels in that match yesterday was incredible.
Now, I remember, I was watching it while doing one other thing, and then I just kept hearing back heel, heel, back heel. It was like this is a regular thing.
I was at training on Friday. I didn't see them practice back heels, but I don't know if that had been the build up to the week. It's like, hey, let's get some back heels.
Well, both teams were doing it too.
When it comes off, it looks spectacular. When it doesn't come off, you're like, what are you doing?
Yeah.
And it was maybe it was MLS or like brought over by MLS to start doing more back heels to improve the game or something. I don't know.
I think you can buy it with BAM.
Yeah, possibly. BAM. So who do you guys think was the man of the match? Who's your man of the match?
Well, we haven't talked about the goal that got us the point first.
Oh, okay, yeah. Well, that would lead into my man of the match. Oh, spoilers.
So talking about like, what are you doing, and shouting at the TV that with some of the back heels. In the first half, there was a breakaway where the Caps had 4 men rushing forward. Montero had the ball, 3 men to his left, and he has a wild shot, and you're going, what are you doing?
Yeah.
But you do like your strikers to have a shot,
put
the ball in the net, and you can't knock Montero. He did it again. 9th goal of the year, brought the Caps level at 2-2, and I mean, you're talking about it brings you up to your man of the match. So I'm interested to see if you're going for Montero or Teixeira as your man of the match.
Well, if he was in, I think it's hard for me to give a substitute a man of the match unless he actually does like. And I thought he played awesome, but I don't know if he turned the game completely. I think Montero, based on his early play too, because I thought he was really good during the whole game. He
had 6 shots in the whole game, but only 2 on target. No, only 1 on target actually, which was the goal.
But even his shots that missed the target were solid, dangerous opportunities, and so I think I would give Montero the man of the match once again. See, I think I gave it to him last week too.
I would give it to Teixeira.
Okay.
I feel when he came on, he just added that offensive spark, and the cross for the goal was fantastic. And we'd had a couple of crosses just before that weren't put away. And I know it's hard to give a sub that's on for less than half an hour, but I just think he changed the game, because the Caps in the first half were excellent, and then the second half they just had nothing going for the first 15-20 minutes, and it's only when he came on that they dominated possession. It was wave after wave of attack, and it was a lovely finish from Montero for the goal.
Yeah, going back to a few minutes before that, I think Teixeira played another good ball to Shea, who was offside, who actually scored. So that was a bit of...
How did Shea get off that far offside? Where does he end up paying attention?
Yeah.
I don't get that one at all.
So, yeah, that was disappointing, but it was nice to see the Caps rebound and get that goal from Montero. Again, another excellent finish, 9 in the season. He's definitely picking it up after that brutal stretch there.
So, my man of the match was Teixeira. Montero's is Steve. What about you, Gary? And who did you have pegged as your man of the match for that one?
I was thinking Tony Ciani, but I would definitely say Freddie Montero, who again, 9th goal of the season. He's played very well recently, 3-2 now, so that would be the man of the match of the game yesterday.
I mean, Ciani had a great game. So let's talk about some of the individual highs. We've talked a little bit about Teixeira. I feel he changed the game with his crosses, Montero. But Ciani as well. He's been such a frustrating player. You've got the last couple of games where he's looked excellent. He's got 3 goals now for the season, which is kind of, considering how he's been playing, is amazing and like quite surprising. But then there's other games where he just disappears altogether. And I kind of thought he might have been rested for this one because I kind of was expecting them to maybe rest Labov for one of these 3 games, rest Jacobson for one of the games, and then Chaney. But obviously needs must with Waston being out.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say. Like, if I think Waston was there, I think Jacobson would have played for Chaney in the spot.
I was going to say if Waston was there, Waston wasn't there, who would you replace with that? But
yeah, I mean, Waston still back in Costa Rica, trying to sort out some visa issues. They hope that they can get sorted out soon. Everything has to get done in Costa Rica, though, which is why he can't do it remotely. And if you think about it, he did join the Caps in August, so there is probably a chance that either his work visa or something has expired, so he maybe has to go and get that sorted out.
That should have been sorted out ages ago, I think.
Yeah, but there could be a little bit more to it as well.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, him being out did force Jacobson again to start there. Chaney, I thought he did good. A couple of times you just expect a little bit more from him, but when he's given a bit more freedom as he was in this game, that's when he seems to really, really thrive.
Yeah, I don't think he does well in structured environments. Yeah. I think he needs to be more free playing, and maybe that. But I don't know if that fits with what Robbo wants to do either.
Yeah, I think there's a lot of things over the players that maybe don't fit quite what Robbo's wanting them to do. I mean, any other players stand out for you as having really positive inputs into that draw?
I thought Parker was as good as usual.
Yeah, very steady.
And then everybody plays solid. Nobody put. I even feel the people that were on the low side, they weren't horrible. There was no like horrendous. There were individual like moments, but there was no overall bad game. Maybe Breck Shea once again didn't do much coming off the bench like he did as a starter against Dallas.
And it's strange because at training on Friday, Shea was in the group that obviously wasn't in the starters group, and they were practicing free kicks and just taking shots from the edge of the box in against Marinovic and getting played in and trying to do little shimmies and stuff. And Shea was fantastic. He buried so many chances, and you're like, wow. And then you expect him to come on and possibly do that. And he did have his chance, but he put it in the net and it was offside. And it was offside.
That was like a Darren Maddox offside.
Yeah. But, I mean, he is a guy that you can, I think, rely on to bring on and get goals. You don't really want that from a designated player, though. You don't want to be paying all that money for a guy that's going to be spending most of his time on the bench. Other bits offensively that, again, not poor, but not standouts, were Reina and Ebini. They both did fairly well. But I don't know if we've got our expectations, or if I've got my expectations of Reina too high.
I think everybody does a little too high.
Yeah.
You saw what he did pre-season, then he scored the goal in his home debut, and he's just got these fantastic little flashes, but it sometimes feels that he's trying to do maybe a little bit too much.
Well, it's hard to argue because a bit too much is sometimes good. Other times it's, as we saw yesterday, there's a few giveaways. We've seen that in games past, but it has worked out in the New York game. I remember he turned over a few times when he scored. And yesterday as well, he and Ibini interchanged very well. It was sometimes Reina would float out wide, Ibini moved in a few times, as you saw. So they link up well, which I like, but I don't know if you're going to see them in the starting 11 as much as you have recently. I should say the 2 games recently, as more into the future, see them together.
Yeah, it's this next lineup and the home game after that, which I think is
Houston.
Seattle. Is it Houston?
Houston, August 19th.
Seattle,
Yeah.
They're going to be interesting lineups just to see. At some stage, Robbo's going to want to nail down as close to a steady starting lineup for the run-in as possible. But I don't think we'll see that maybe until towards the end of September.
So hard to, though, with the way things have gone and injuries. And
for me, if everybody's healthy, there's 5 players that are definitely part of your starters, and the other 6 can be interchangeable. I think you got obviously Ousted, Parker, Waston, maybe Laba, and maybe Montero. And I'm only saying Laba because I know Robbo would put Laba in every game.
No Harvey? No.
Yeah, I was thinking.
I think De Jong could spell him once in a while. Like I would put Harvey as your main starter, but I see like if they're playing Wednesday, Saturday over and over again, I think you can spell Harvey a game here.
Brett Levi's could get in there if
he's healthy.
Yeah, he is getting very close because, again, he was in full training on Friday and looking really sharp. And like Shea was finishing some fantastic shots as well. For me, if I had to pick maybe the worst performance out there, I think I would maybe go with Williams. Again, it wasn't a stinker.
No.
But he got the nod, and I think it was probably because Waston was out that they maybe wanted a little bit more of an experienced head at the back, because you've got as good as he has been, you've got someone that isn't actually a centre-back playing centre-back. So I think that might be why Williams kept his place. But going forward, do you go with Williams? Do you go with Nerwinski?
I think, honestly, it has to be Williams, just because they brought him in for that purpose. I think Nerwinski was more covered than anything. Williams, I think it's just rewarding for performances previously from Robbo. Obviously, he missed some time, but I think through the first part of the season, he was a very good player for the Vancouver, and Nerwinski, as good as he was when Williams was gone, I would see Williams starting Nerwinski's position for the next little while.
But the only thing I was surprised about was the fact that, okay, you brought Williams back against FC Dallas. That's understandable. But then you have to, it's very difficult to go from FC, when you have, I think he's been off for 2 months almost?
I think it was in June. I think it all happened during the break that they had in June.
Month and a half.
It's a month and a half.
Yeah,
okay, so if he hasn't played in a game competition month and a half, and obviously for some of it he wasn't even training either.
Yeah.
You play him in Dallas, and then you play him in Colorado, which is different elements. But it's gonna wear down on you, even if it's only a week away. That's why I thought Nowitzki, because he hasn't. It's not like he's playing poor, like you said, man of the month. I think Nowitzki should have started against Colorado just for that reason, because he hadn't played so much. And like you said yourself, he didn't play horribly, but there were a moment here and there where he looked unsteady. And you shouldn't have to look unsteady against Colorado.
No. I mean, the Caps came away with a point. Looking at just some of the stats, 14 shots to Vancouver. They outshot Colorado 14-12. But Colorado had 4 shots on target to Vancouver's 2. So the only 2 shots we got on target were the 2 goals. Another goal from a set piece as well. So, I mean, that was all good. Then it was the first experience in a Whitecaps MLS game of VAR, being the big talking point this weekend all across MLS. In the Caps game, there was an incident which I thought was going to go and get called with VAR in the second half, which was a potential handball on Andrew Jacobson.
Yeah.
And the commentators were adamant it was going to go to VAR and get reviewed in a penalty.
It was reviewed. It was reviewed, and it did look like it came off his arm. But apparently, I saw somewhere earlier today that they from a different angle, it actually went more shoulder than arm.
And it has to be a clear thing on the pitch that's wrong.
Yeah. And the thing is, Jacobson's like diving, so you can't really prove that he's like what's a normal coming down there. There was an incident earlier too, when there was that Jacobson kick out with Doyle.
Oh yes,
and they stopped him there, and you could tell he had his hand in his ear. So that might have been reviewed for a red card situation.
Yeah, I think that probably was.
So they had 2 instances in that case.
Yeah, that could have been that could have been potentially awful for the Whitecaps. The way that twice I think Jacobson kicked out, and Doyle went after him too, regardless. But that could have been.
But we could have got Doyle off the pitch and scored the winner.
But when VAR comes in, the way that the refereeing's gone against the Whitecaps this year in MLS and previous years, you kind of thought, oh, we're going to be the first team that's penalised with VAR. You can just tell we'll have a goal scored or something against us or whatever, but we weren't. There were a couple of instances, though, this weekend. Dallas had a goal ruled out because of VAR. And then today, LA Galaxy thought they had taken a 2-1 lead. Good old Jizzy Gardas put the ball in the net, but it was ruled out as well.
Yeah.
And that
turned around that game.
Yeah, it was for a handball, and it was obvious, but the commentators watching it, they didn't really know what was going on either. But I mean, it's been used effective.
And they got screens all over the place, so the referee doesn't have to. I hope that's in all stadiums. I'm not sure if it is or not.
I think it would have, because even at the USL game when they had it 2 games ago, they had it testing the Whitecaps 2 game, and they had all the screens down the front, and there were screens up the back. And
my thinking is that if it's an official, like a referee that's doing this, doing the VAR, right, let him make the call. Like
but that's the thing, they're not wanting to take. They want their man in the middle to be the guy that has the ultimate decision.
I think you can have somebody else make the call, because if you look at a sport like cricket, for example, cricket, the person in the booth makes the call if it's out or not or whatever. I know obviously this is not the cricket show, but there are sports
rugby as well.
Yeah,
the referee calls for the screen and then listens and they review it and they talk everything through and then they make the decision.
Yeah, so I think it would actually go faster that way too in that case.
Then what does the referee do in that instance? Then does he just listen? He's the guy that was there, though, right? So he just wants secondary opinion.
If he missed the call, then he missed the call. He shouldn't have to. He shouldn't be able to make the final call then if he needs a video. But that's my opinion.
Yeah,
I think it would go faster.
It was used a lot this weekend, which I think says a lot about the state of pro referees. That
like I basically I normally when I record the game, I just put an extra 5 minutes. I actually put an extra half an hour just in case I didn't know what was going to happen. So I just put an extra half hour beyond the.
I do that anyway because I don't know when the games are going to start half the time.
That's true.
One thing about VAR in the Portland game, there was an incident and the Portland fans today were chanting VAR, VAR, VAR.
It helped them.
Yeah. It seems to be a good first weekend, so let's hope it continues in that vein.
Let's just not jinx it. Hopefully.
Yeah. When something bad goes against us, we'll see if we have the same kind of thing. Last thing I want to talk about in this segment, though, is just about the tightness in the Western Conference. Portland winning today knocked the Whitecaps out of the playoff places. They've gone down to 7th. You have to look at the standings just now and think, though, that already at this early stage of the season, and I know teams can make runs of wins and runs of losses, and it doesn't take too much to turn a team's fortunes around, good or bad, but you have to look at that table and think 6 of 7 teams are fighting for those playoff places. And at the moment, the Whitecaps are the team that's sitting out of it. They've got games in hand for 5 of the teams above them. Dallas is the only one that's not. And it's at least 2 games in hand on all the other teams above them. So they're still in a really good mix, but it just shows you that you go to a place like Colorado and you get a point and you think, that's good. But then it's not been good enough. You've dropped out of the playoff places.
Yeah, but
this is going to be crazy going into the last couple of months.
They have to make up those extra games, especially those midweek games. They need to win those. They need to basically go perfect at home now. They can't afford to drop any more points at home. Like, okay, they can drop a couple points here and there if there's a draw, but they need to win almost all their home games and then pick up a point here and there on the road, and they should easily beat the playoffs at that point. It all depends on if they want to host that game in the first round or second round.
Yeah, they seem to be better on the road, but when you look at the teams that's out with the playoff places just now, Real Salt Lake's played 3 games more than the Whitecaps, and they're in 8th spot.
LA's played 1 more.
Yeah, I mean LA.
I don't think they're making it.
No,
I think this is a different year.
I mean, even though they've appointed our favourite gobble guy, bit of a surprise, only to the end of the season. But it's hard to see they're going to have to go on a fantastic run, and then they lost today, so they lost more ground on the teams above them. It's crazy to think that the players could come around and the Galaxy's not going to be in it.
And remember, the FC Dallas has now lost 2 in a row. 4-0 and 3-1.
Yeah.
And they tend to drop. Usually at around this time, they either have a horrible start or a horrible end. And this year, it looks like it'll be about the middle where they start.
Well, Houston's been up and down. They started strong. They had a big dip. Now they've come good again.
For Houston, I think it all depends on when their road trips are and when they're playing at home. They pick up most of their points at home.
Well, Colorado now is going on a big stretch of away games, which is kind of bad for the Caps because you've not got teams going to Colorado.
Yeah.
So
well, we'll see.
Things like that work against them. But right now, with 2.5 months still to go,
13 games.
Do you see the Whitecaps making the playoffs?
Yes. In unison.
Yes, all right. That's a very positive way to end this part.
I don't see out of the 6 teams above them right now, I think San Jose is most likely to drop. They're a young team.
Yeah, that's
coach.
the team that I think is going to drop out as well.
Because there's only 3 points between us and Houston for 3rd, if I'm not mistaken. So
it's 3 points as well.
3 points to tie.
Yeah,
3 points we have 31. Yeah,
and then we're 6 points off first place at Sporting Kansas City, but we have 2 games in hand against them.
So and Kansas City aren't playing as well as they could be right now, although no Dwyer. But
so a very positive way to end this part. We'll be back with looking at the Whitecaps' next game in New England after this.
I saw 2 shooting stars last night, I wished on them, but they were only satellites, it's wrong to wish on space hardware. I wish you'd care. I don't want to change the world, I'm not looking for New England, I'm just looking for another girl.
Billy Bragg singing about New England. Don't think he was singing about the Revolution. Well, I know for a fact he wasn't singing about the Revolution, but it's a nice little intro into talking about the Whitecaps' next game. 3rd game on the road, heading east, Eastern Conference opposition, New England Revolution, another team that is struggling just now. 2nd bottom of the East. On paper, you're thinking, yeah, they're going to go, they'll do well, finish this road trip with an amazing 7 points. But it might not be as easy as we all think. Yeah.
It's another place where the weather is a different thing. It's really humid out east and hot. And so they're going to have to go through another temperature change. And also, New England does play well at home at times.
Yeah.
And
7-2-2 this year at home. So very strong.
Yeah, but they do, obviously they play on turf, so that maybe plays a little bit into what Vancouver's used to as well.
Goals-wise as well, like the Caps are on +1, New England's on -1, so there's been a lot of high-scoring games for New England, so I think there's going to be goals in this game, but this is a game, when you look at some of the tough ones on the schedule, it's a lower team, you have to hope that the Caps are going to go there and at least come away with a point.
Yeah, just looking at the Whitecaps' remaining schedule now, they do play 3 more, including Saturday's game, away to Eastern Conference opposition, one being Orlando, one being New York. So if you're looking at trying to take something away from Eastern teams, this would be the team to do it, especially in New England and Gillette Stadium, which hasn't been the friendliest of confines to the Whitecaps. But
yeah.
I mean, it's one game that you would definitely look at to see if they can pull away a point, if not 3, steal something. I
mean, Orlando away in August is not a nice trip to have. It's going to be so hot down there. But I mean, you have to think that they've got a good chance in this one. We'll look at the Whitecaps lineup and stuff in a little bit, or what we think it might be. Looking at some of New England's danger men, they've got three guys leading the team at the moment on 8 goals.
One guy who played very little with the Whitecaps, one guy who almost played with the Whitecaps, if you believe rumors, and then
actually 2 guys that almost played for the Whitecaps. Well, no, if you believe rumors.
Yeah, that's true. Good point. Yeah. So it's Lee Nguyen, Kai Kamaro, and Juan Agudelo.
Yeah, Agudelo's been a name that the last couple of off seasons he's been a name that's been floated about as a possible signing for the Whitecaps. Yeah. I don't know if there's been anything to that or if it's just a little bit more speculation. But the 3 of them leading the way on 8 goals. Lee Nguyen, clearly their danger guy, because he also leads the team on 10 assists, which is a staggering amount of assists.
Yeah, so he's basically seems like he's running the team, or running the attack.
He's the guy you want to kick or leave him in a hotel room trying to find his TV.
This is a very balanced New England team. This is not like a one-sided team we've seen other teams in the past, but this is a very good, well put together squad, and they know how to score goals, they know how to defend, and this will be a very interesting test for the Caps.
Looking at the other guys that seem to make the team tick, Diego Fagundes has 7 assists, and Kamara as well has chipped in 4 assists. Kamara is still very up and down. Sometimes he's looking great, sometimes he's not. Still a guy I'd love to see here in a Whitecaps shirt. A lot of people say he wouldn't be good for the locker room, but I don't know. It's what you make. I mean, folks said that about Brek Shea. It's like, why are you bringing him in? He's not going to be good for the locker room. And the guys love him, and he loves being in this team. And he loves the harmony of the squad, and he thinks it's fantastic. Big decisions, though, for Robbo heading into this one. I'm expecting a few more changes. Defence-wise, obviously Ousted's going to get the start in goal.
Well, most likely you could see. I don't see him being rotated, but you never know.
Well, if there's a game that they were going to do, it'd probably be this one.
I don't know. I'd stick Marinovic in for Orlando.
Yeah, one of those.
Just throw him in.
Yeah, he's from New Zealand. Yeah, it gets hot sometimes there. Although
wrong months though.
When I spoke to Meyer Bevan, not the last home game, but the home game before, he was complaining about how hot it was in Vancouver, and I'm thinking, You're from New Zealand, man. It gets really hot there.
Well, it gets hot in the wrong month, though.
Yeah.
So he's probably used to the winter right
Yeah,
now.
he still said he was trying to get used to the heat. So, Harvey, for me, will
Definitely
still be
comes
left back.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If Waston's good to go, Waston Parker is pretty much going to be the centre back, I would think. And I want to talk a little bit in a few minutes about other centre back options. For me, the only big decision in the defence is Williams or Nerwinski, which we kind of covered the last time. I think he'll bring Nerwinski back for this one.
Rotation.
And he is an East Coast kid, played in
Of
UConn,
course,
and
yeah.
so it could be a nice for him to start a game out there, and his family can see him and everything.
Do you think if Waston doesn't come in, Dean maybe gets a shout and rest Lava or Channy?
Yeah, I don't know what's happening with Dean. It's a
Interesting.
bit... Yeah. I thought he might have been travelling with the USL team this weekend, but that wasn't... I was told he was, and then it was like, oh, I made a mistake. He wasn't travelling. I don't know what is happening with him. He was not at training on Friday. So your automatic assumption is, oh, he's training with the USL guys, so he's away with them. I don't know if he has another injury. I don't know if they're trying to get him out on loan, they're trying to get him transferred, and they don't want to play him in case another injury happens, and then it kind of scuppers everything.
Yeah,
But this has been... Sorry, go ahead.
my just about that. My speculation, and this is just speculation, and I haven't talked to anybody, is that maybe he's an option B for somebody, another team, and if that option A falls through, then they will go after Dean, and the Whitecaps just don't want to risk anything and make sure that Dean is not available until, or maybe he could be even hurt, because as he told us that the injury is kind of off and on, and he's not even sure when he has it, so they have to be careful with that.
I remember you telling me about the Whitecaps 2 game about Dean not being in the starting 11 a couple weeks ago. That's weird because I remember he was in the 11, or I should say the 18 for one of the Caps games this weekend. So it's strange that if he was being held back, he wouldn't be in the 18 for the game. So either it's potential, or they're just not playing him, or it's really strange to me.
It's very baffling, the fact that he wasn't even at training on Friday. And he has been training and running about, so it doesn't look like his injury is completely back, but as you say, it could be on and off. But you have to think that if Waston's not back, they might want to throw him into there. Jacobson was rested against Dallas, so he has at least had a rest. Formation-wise, though, big decision: 4-2-3-1, 4-4-1-1 again. Do you go for a 4-1-4-1 that works so well? It's kind of, after Robbo being so rigid with his 4-2-3-1 for a couple of seasons, now you've got no idea from game to game exactly what he's going to go with.
Which is, I mean, it's good, but...
It's good the opponents don't know what he's going to go with, too.
That's true.
I foresee maybe a 4-4-1-1, just given the options of center midfield right now. If Waston isn't here, probably Jacobson, but maybe Montero gets a rest. We'll see, probably not, but if he does, maybe a Beanie and Reyna up top. It's just going to be interesting to see what happens there. Shape will probably get a start if Davies is fit. Teixeira will probably start. There's just a lot of options right now, which is good. It gives Robbo headaches.
Teixeira has to start.
Yeah, you have, after that performance.
Yeah,
and
he's rested.
I'm concerned maybe Robbo doesn't want Teixeira and Reyna on the pitch at the same time, because the height is maybe not at the right level. Maybe they just worried about they lack size, both of them, and it would hurt them.
And also Teixeira's defensive ability sometimes is left wanting. There was some fans criticising a couple of his things on Twitter on Saturday night where he hadn't tracked back well or done well enough on that side. He has to start, to me. For me, 4-2-3-1 would make sense. I'm assuming Waston will be back, and then I would have rested Channy, but then he's just scored, so it's like, how do you rest him? I want to see Teixeira anyway, and Reyna and Montero.
Yeah.
Bolaños, I'm fine if he drops to the bench, because I thought he was a little bit ineffective against Colorado on Saturday there.
Yeah, if Shea should be good to go, I wouldn't mind seeing him up there. He played well in Dallas. If Alphonso Davies is good to go, I'd say throw him in there. It's been a while since he's been in action. He played a bit of the Portland game, wasn't so good in that one.
Yeah.
He must have been dealing with something after the Gold Cup still.
Well, officially he has an abductor strain, and he was doing laps at training on Friday, so he's not even back in full training. He is expected to get back in full training this week, which would make me think that at best we'll see him off the bench.
Yeah.
Now, New England, they 5 losses in the last 7 games. They had been on a 2-game winning streak, though, until they just lost against Chicago 4-1 at the weekend. But it's a team I feel is there for the beating. What's your feeling going into this? What's your predictions for this one?
I got 1-1.
It's not going to be 4-0 like it was in Dallas, so I'm going to say either 2-1 Whitecaps or 2-1 New England. I'm going to go 2-1 New England.
I will go 2-1 Whitecaps then. But I could also see a draw. I think we're going to take something from it. I was confident we're going to take something from Colorado. I just thought it was going to be 3 points. Now, there may be some new additions before Saturday's game as well, and they could possibly factor into stuff. Now, we were talking about Dean there, and Steve, you had your little theory as to what might be happening with him about the Plan B option, and I think that could be a good thing. There's a guy training with the Whitecaps just now. He's a well-known guy to people that's followed the Canadian national team, and if you've got very long memories as Whitecaps fans, he was originally in the Whitecaps residency programme, one of the first crops into that. Adam Straith can play defensive midfielder and also a centre-back. I want to talk about where I think he might fit into this team in a few minutes, but I got a chance to catch up with Adam at training on Friday, just talking about what's brought him back to Vancouver, his career so far, Canadian national team, and a lot more beside. Here's Adam Straith. So Adam, you're back where it all began for you in the pros in Vancouver. What's brought you to Vancouver right now?
Well, after my contract ended in Edmonton, I had the contract going up until the Gold Cup. That was the plan, and then obviously was without a club, without an option after the Gold Cup. And I texted Carl a couple of days after the Gold Cup to see if it was possible to come train. And he was obviously, he gave me the go-ahead, something that he or the club, doesn't necessarily have to do. And they've been fantastic so far, letting me come in and keep fit. So I'm more than appreciative of the fact that they let me come in here in the middle of their season, like I said, which isn't something that's kind of guaranteed. So just very grateful and happy that I can be in this environment and keeping fit with a good quality team.
Now, you were one of the first guys that was in the residency programme back in 2008. Have you noticed a big difference coming back to what the club was like back then and to what it was now?
Yeah, I mean, definitely. Back when I first came as a 15, 16-year-old, the first team was obviously in the USL back then, playing out of Swangard. And you look at where the team was training, the facilities, and you compare, just the facilities first of all to what they have here now. I think the professionalism of the club, it's kind of obviously upgraded to just something that's comparable to the top leagues in Europe. Look at what we have here, the new building, the new pitches, and obviously now with the USL team and the academy boys moving in soon, you kind of have the whole hierarchy. Everything's within grasp. It's very comparable, like I said before, to what it's like in Europe. And obviously I took in the game, the last home game, and to compare that to the years when I was here, 10, 12 years ago, comparing a game in the USL at Swangard to what it is now, you multiply that, at least 4 or 5 times to see what it's like now. So, yeah, it's very exciting I've come back, here or there throughout the years to see what it's like, and now, it's kind of gone through higher 5 or 6-fold to what it has been back then. So it's very exciting. Obviously, the club has done a fantastic job of getting a good fan base and a very professional environment.
Now, back then in the residency days, a lot of the guys, you went to Energy Cottbus for a spell on loan. Yeah. You're one of the ones that decided to stay over in Europe. What made you make that decision? Was it just a case like once you had a taste of what it was like over there, you decided that's where you wanted to pursue things? Yeah,
I mean, with that first year of the residency, we were brought in. Everyone had their own kind of meetings with the coach back then, and we set out kind of goals for each player. And one of mine was to, if the opportunity came, was to try to get to Europe at a young age. And the opportunity was given, at the end of that first year of residency. There was an opportunity that came up in Germany. So right after, I think it was a week or two after my high school graduation, I was on a flight over to Cottbus, over to the eastern part of Germany to take part in a trial for a week. So obviously since then, that went positively, and they wanted to kind of keep me on. So that, like I said, that was one of the goals I had growing up. Obviously back then I didn't have, as big of a club, as the Whitecaps is now. You didn't have 3 Canadian teams in the MLS. The goals were a little different as they are now. I think now young kids growing up, they're so close to such a well-run club and a big club that some guys might have different goals to stay a bit closer to home now. But for me back then, it was if the opportunity came to try and get to Europe, and I was thankful for what happened here to let me go.
How did you find that whole experience in Europe? I know some guys go over there and they love it, some guys go over and it's not always the case that the grass is greener on the other side, but you seem to have a good career over there so far. Yeah, no, I did love it. It's something that I wouldn't have traded for the world now, looking back at it. Very, very tough, obviously, going over to Europe with 16, 17 years old, not knowing the language, kind of being tossed in, right into the deep end, having to fend for yourself quite a bit in a country that no one, or you don't speak the language. But I think that made me grow up really quick. It made me grow as a person, and obviously as a player as well. So, like I said, it's something that I'm very glad that I did, and something that I wouldn't trade for. All the kind of life experiences I gained when going over there. Is really something you can't compare. If you compare that to living closer to home with the comforts of your family or kind of your supporting web when you're over there by yourself. A lot of the times, there are some times where you go through some rough times. If things aren't going well on the pitch or if you're away from home. But looking back on it now, is something I'm very grateful that I did. And I know you had a couple of trials before you went to Edmonton. Inverness Cali in Scotland being one of them. What made you decide then to come back to Canada at this stage of your career? Well, back then it was the thing in Scotland was I don't have a European passport, which is an issue that's come up a number of times. It's obviously a hurdle for some of us Canadians. Well, the majority of us Canadians that don't have European backgrounds. It's something that they needed. The window was closing, and they needed a couple of weeks or a month to get the process done, and they didn't have the time to get that sorted. So that was an issue of getting work visas sorted in enough time, and there was the option to do a short-term contract leading up to the Gold Cup in Edmonton, and it's something that I thought about. And obviously, going into a tournament like the Gold Cup, you want to be playing as much as possible leading up to it. So that was an opportunity that I saw to play, and I'm very thankful for the organization in Edmonton, the people that I worked with, for allowing me to come in and kind of keep me ticking over until the summertime. And the Gold Cup, it was a fantastic campaign for Canada. You've obviously been involved with the squad for years now. Have you noticed a big difference in Zambrano as to what it had been like? The team definitely seems a lot more attack-minded. Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing Octavio is instilled. I mean, it's very tough for a manager to come in. He hasn't been around too long as well. But I think the biggest thing that he's instilled with us is an attack, a different mindset, a mindset that we as a team have the ability to attack games, to dictate the tempo of the game, to be the protagonist in the game. And I think, I mentioned this. I think you see in a game, in our last game against Jamaica, I can't remember a team at a level of Jamaica playing against us, playing against Canada, and sitting back so much. And I think that's credit to Octavio and the team for really taking into heart what he wants to teach us. And I don't remember, like I said, I don't remember a team sitting back and defending and going into a game, knowing that that Canada is going to possess the ball and dictate the game. So I think that's a credit to where we're going. Obviously, at the same time, we were disappointed to go out. I think that was a game that obviously could have been won, and there has to be a level of disappointment as to why we didn't progress.
I think, as you said, it was a positive camp. I think the base of Canadian people that follow the national team see it as well as a positive step. And as of right now, that's kind of what it is. It's a step in the right direction, and hopefully going forward, we now have a couple of years to really build for the big push for the next qualifying campaign.
But for you yourself now moving forward, obviously you're having a train stint here, but looking at yourself long-term future, do you see your future over in North America, or do you want to give Europe another shot?
Yeah, I mean, I would have nothing against coming back to North America, having a little taste of it now in Edmonton, and seeing, you know, what it's like. We spoke before about how things have changed. You know, here I haven't been to all of the MLS clubs or all of the North American clubs, but just seeing how much it's progressed here in Vancouver, how professional it is, and you know, being a part of or seeing, you know, thinking what's going to happen in the future. It's definitely something, you know, an area that I could hopefully see myself in playing in North America. Obviously, if the opportunity doesn't come, or, you know, there is a better opportunity somewhere else in a different part of the world, then I'm open to it. I'm at a stage, you know, still in my career where I'm still, you know, wanting to achieve a lot. So wherever the best opportunity for me in my career, that's what I'm going to take.
That's great. Thanks so much for your time today, Adam, and good luck with it.
Thank you very much.
So Adam Straith there, and Adam is just having a training stint officially with the Whitecaps. Now, my theory on all of this, going back to the Dean thing, and again, this is just pure speculation on my part, no one said anything, I think they are planning on offering a deal to Straith, and we talked about maybe Christian Dean as some club's plan B. I think we might be Straith's plan B. If he can get a deal in Europe, then I think he would prefer to go with that. Yeah. If not, he's quite happy to sign here. But I also think we have to maybe move Dean to free up some salary spot. Because Dean is obviously a centre-back.
We've
got a couple of roster spots now with
because
Greg.
of loans.
Yeah, because Greg and David, Adekube, yeah.
Although Adekube wasn't one of the guys that was taking up a spot, but McKendry was, so McKendry went as well. But I'd like to see Straith here. I think it would be a good depth addition. I don't know how good it is, though, for him to come and maybe not play like a De Jong kind of situation where you're playing for your country, but you're not playing for your club team.
But Straith wasn't on the Gold Cup team, so...
He was in the squad. He just didn't play.
That's right. So...
Which, again, it's not going to help him play if he then is not starting for his club.
It is a step up from FC Edmonton. You could say that, but... I mean, it's good exposure for him. He's been out of Europe for a year or so it's nice to see him getting back in a top-tier team, arguably MLS. But I mean, it's a good guy and sounded like a good interview. So he's a good player as well. I like him.
Yeah,
so.
And an interesting thing about that as well is he said something which also Stefan Marinovic had an issue with as well, which was they couldn't get a UK work visa. And it's the same in other European countries as well, that if you don't have any European heritage, you're struggling now to get work visas.
Yeah.
So we could see a lot of these Canadian guys that are over there just now heading back to these shores.
Whether MLS or Canadian PL.
Yeah. And I think Canadian PL, I didn't ask Straith about that in this interview because to me, he's a level above that right now. He's been playing in Europe. He still wants to play in Europe. So I think he is a guy that Canadian PL might be in his future when he's in his 30s. But he's only 26 just now, so he has got something ahead.
Maybe he could go to Turkey because all the Canadian players seem to be heading over there soon.
Robo has said he still hopes to add 1 or 2 players before the transfer window closes, which is coming up fast.
3 days, I think.
Yeah, so a Straith I expect to be added this week. That's just my thoughts on that. Possibly a short-term deal. And of course, it would be following in the footsteps. We seem to like to sign Canadian players in the summer.
Yeah, last year, Edgar De Jong. Don't know if you've ever done it before last summer, but...
I have a little theory. Like, I think obviously the Canadian players know Canada and Vancouver well. I don't think it's much of a culture shock to them when you get somebody from Europe coming mid-season or somebody from South America. I think it takes more time to get used to it. So what's the point of bringing them in if they're not going to be ready to go? Like, for example, a Barry Robson back in the day.
Yeah.
It was definitely a culture shock to him, considering he didn't know he was playing on grass. He thought turf was grass. So
there's a lot of things about MLS that would have a big culture shock.
So
to him.
yeah, so exactly. So when like if you're going to bring in somebody, he's not going to be a starter. He's going to be a depth player in case Waston has to go on World Cup duty or wherever he needs to go. Why not bring in a Canadian? And obviously, if David Edgar was healthy, this wouldn't even be an issue at this point.
Very true.
So if Straith would play center back, then that would push up Jacobson, which means maybe we wouldn't need Tybert, or like they're.
We don't need Tybert.
Well, I think Tybert stays. I don't think he goes anywhere until if he goes anywhere, he goes in the off season. He's not going to.
Robbo did have a very long talk with Tybert at the end of training, but he does that with a number of players. He had a big one with Montero before he went and scored a couple of games ago.
I meant as in we have a lot of depth in midfield,
well,
so that would mean
Straith is more DM, but has been also playing centre back for Canada. So I mean, he's very versatile.
He's a good centre back as well.
And he can actually play right back as well.
He's another Andrew Jacobson.
Yeah.
And who knows, that would then maybe open up the door to trade Jacobson, which I think would be good trade bait. Not this window, and I don't want to see him go because I think he's been the most valuable player in terms of his versatility as anything else this year.
Yeah, but like you said, Straith, if he signs a short-term contract and he's still looking at Europe, you don't really want to trade Jacobson or put him on the block.
I'd wait to see if we're going to keep Straith here.
Wait till the window for sure. Yeah, I wouldn't want to make any moves now.
So we'll see if there is any more additions, or if Straith is one of them. He is a free agent, so he doesn't technically have to get signed in this window. They can add a free agent after that until it's like the roster freeze time in September. So they don't have to sign him in this window, but we'll see what happens. Anyway, I don't know about you, but all this transfer talk's made me a little bit hungry. Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it sounds suggestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
So, John, you're at home at night, and you've got your beverage of choice, non-alcoholic. Do you go for a tea or a coffee?
I'm glad you said that. No, I love how you're painting the picture here. I drink water, to be honest. Coffee keeps me up. I went on a tea kick maybe a couple of years ago where I did the tea thing for about a year and I fell off. But honestly, we drink so much water in our house that we always have we probably finish a gallon a day. Yeah.
Going back to then when you had your tea kick, would you ever have biscuits with it? I know healthy football and stuff, but would you ever have biscuits with it?
No, it would just be, some sort of relaxing tea like aroma that my wife would pick up, hoping to what does it say, like tranquility on the tea packs or something, you know? She gets all that stuff, so I tried it, and we have the Keurig, so we always got the tea pods. But it's just not my thing, man. And when I did have tea, I didn't really have anything with it. It was just, just trying it out, I guess.
Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive, even though it sounds suggestive? Anyone fancy a chocolate digestive?
So, we've talked about the Whitecaps MLS stuff this week. There was a Whitecaps 2-game on Wednesday and one on Saturday night as well. The Twos are having a little bit of a tricky time, though, this season. Now winless. The opposite of unbeaten. Now winless in 10 games.
Yeah.
They're not getting hammered. It's close games.
They just can't get that last goal. Or, in the Wednesday game, they just couldn't stop any goals.
I know, it looked like they had it done on Wednesday. Gideon and myself were obviously had the call on the stream, and they played really well.
Yeah.
And they're just lacking the thing that's getting them over the line.
It's either getting that last thing to get that goal to put them ahead, or that ability to close out games. It's one or the other, whether they're up or behind.
Yeah, I think briefly during the game when we talked about who's going to step up in the absence of Kyle Gregg, and Meyer Bevan did, and he did all he could, and it was a fantastic game. It's just there was a couple of times where the final ball wasn't there. Just the defending, they gave up 2 penalties in that game, so that was obviously something they need to talk about. And unfortunately, 1-0 loss to Sacramento yesterday, but the effort was there. There's nothing wrong with the effort. It's just playing the full 90 and after, especially in added time as well. It's just got to have that focus for young guys. Is definitely a tough thing to have.
They were definitely under the cosh a bit against Sacramento. Spencer Ritchie, if you haven't seen this, check out the Caps Twitter. Fantastic goal line save. He's had a few of them this year as well. And there were some murmurs this week that some of the standalone, some of the independent USL teams aren't too happy at what the MLS 2 teams are bringing to the USL, and they're looking for them to drop down to the new USL Division 3 league when it starts.
Yeah.
And I can't blame them for that, really. When you see the likes of FC Cincinnati and the crowds that they're bringing in, Sacramento as well, they're bringing in 5-figure crowds. And you've got, Whitecaps 2's attendances have picked up in the summer. They've had some good attendances with the summer camps at the last couple of games at Thunderbird. But it's two very different kinds of teams. You've got one team going for development, which is the MLS 2 teams, and then standalone teams, which are proper teams. And the difference between them is huge. And if you look at the Western Conference, I think it's only one team that's an MLS 2 team that's in the playoff places, and all the rest are out with it. And USL don't want to be considered as a development league. I don't mind if the Caps were to drop down to Division 3.
No, I don't
to be honest.
I don't either. I think it'd work well. Like, even teams like LA2 now are playing more developmental players.
Yeah.
They just signed a 15-year-old that beat out Davies' record from last year. So I don't have an issue with it at all. And if a MLS 2 team that is good enough, and if they're going to do promotion, I don't know, are they going to do promotion relegation as part of this USL?
No.
Oh.
It's all about, though, promotion in another sense.
Yeah.
Because they feel that a lot of the MLS teams aren't putting enough promotion into their USL sides to get crowds there. And also there's set criteria that these teams are meant to play in 5,000 capacity stadiums, which obviously the likes of the Whitecaps aren't. So, there's all this pressure. These other teams have to meet this criteria. Why should the MLS 2 teams not? There's a lot of kind of push for clubs to be independently owned as well. And you saw that Montreal got rid of their Montreal 2, teamed up with Ottawa Fury, so that's basically their affiliate side now. And one of the affiliate sides for Houston, or the affiliate side for Houston, is Rio Grande Toros. And that was the team that were up here on Wednesday, played out the 3-3 draw with the Whitecaps. And the man between the sticks that game was a very familiar face. Really strange to see him lining up against the Whitecaps. Marco Carducci joined the Caps Residency as a 14-year-old. We've watched him for years with the Whitecaps. So strange to see him in another team's jersey. Got a chance to speak to him after the game. The quality, I'll tell you now, is not fantastic. It was so windy on the pitch. It was like the coldest heat wave ever at UBC on Wednesday. We were freezing doing the commentary. And then you went on the pitch and it was a bit warm, but it was so windy. But got a chance to speak to Marco about the move to Rio Grande and a few more things as well. Let's hear from him now. So, Marco, was it kind of mixed emotions coming back and playing against the Whitecaps?
Yeah, it was weird. It was definitely funny playing against these guys and playing against the club that I've been with for such a long time, right? So, walking in at first, going into the away locker room as opposed to the first was different, but it was great. I was really looking forward to this for a while, and definitely a different feeling, but a lot of fun to be able to play here.
So just going back a little bit, how did the move to Rio Grande go about? I had a chat with Marius Roft a couple of weeks ago, and he mentioned that he'd taken you to Minnesota, but then it wasn't maybe going to get you enough minutes there, so he kind of helped to get this involved. So how did it all come about?
Exactly. So I spent preseason with Minnesota, which was great. Marius was obviously a big hand in that and bringing me in. And it went well. I enjoyed it. But it would have probably been a similar situation that I was already in, where maybe just be the number 3 and not get many minutes, which was part of the reason why I left, of course, right? So Marius helped, again, set that up. He got me in touch with a few people, working with a guy who's his good buddy, who's his agent, who helped move it along. And Paul Rogers out in Houston, the goalkeeper coach, and Marius, I think, have a good relationship. And I guess my name got thrown around. It opened up this door, and it was a good fit. And before I knew it, I was signing here.
And it's strange in the USL because it's the same here. You've got to share the goalkeeping minutes. There's 3 of you that's like splitting the minutes.
Yeah.
But you've played 5 in a row now, which is kind of weird because of the way it's been going. Is the plan, have you made this your starting position, or is it all up in the air?
As far as I know, I'm just focusing on doing as well as I can each game. I get the nod. Like you said before, there was rotation. I wasn't getting minutes earlier on. It's part of being a goalkeeper no matter where you are, really, right? So, of course, results-wise, we're in a bit of a slump, and it's good to get a point here on the road. We're looking to get the monkey off our back kind of thing, get a win again, and start moving forward. But I'm grateful to have the opportunity to play, and now that it's been a few in a row, I'm just focusing on getting better each game and doing my part to help the team win.
How did it feel to have Boosty score on you?
That was my one goal today, to make sure he didn't score. But you know what? I'm going to give him a hard time because he's been scoring penalties. That was more or less a penalty, wasn't it? I saved the first one, and of course he's the guy I look up and see, and I was like, here we go. But we've always had our little competition, so it's all right.
Leaving the Whitecaps, I know it must have been hard. You've been here since you were 15. It's like I've watched you for so many years, and it's weird seeing you lining up against the team. But when you look back at your time here, what's your sort of overriding memories of it?
Nothing but good memories, really. Like you said, I was 14 turning 15 when I came. So my childhood, in terms of professional career, right, my young residency and all that was all here, and all the relationships I built with the staff, with the fans, with everyone around the club, and making my way through the club, it's special, and it'll always be special to me. So coming back in a different position on another team was interesting for sure, and it's part of football, right? Like, players move on and coaches move on and that sort of thing. But the club has a special place in my heart. The city has a special place in my heart. The fans, the people here have a special place in my heart as well, and it's just nice to be back.
When you're a goalkeeper, there's only one guy can obviously play. When you're here, David Ousted was always going to be the guy that got the minutes. Have you thought, long term, whether your future lies in North America? Obviously, there's Canadian Premier League coming, or would you like to give Europe a shot? I know it's something you thought about in the past before you even signed for the Caps.
For sure, no. It's obviously hard to look into the future too, because things always are just changing in a fly. So for me, it's just the one step at a time thing. I'll see how things play out the rest of the season. I think every player will tell you Europe is always a place that you'd like to go play because, at the end of the day, it is the pinnacle at the top level there, of course. But the CPL news is exciting. Could be a good fit for a lot of guys, myself included. And North America, it's, again, with the USL and everything like that, obviously MLS is the goal, but the USL is there for young players like myself. And where I'll be in the next few years, my goal is, again, I've said it a million times, but it's just to get as high as I can, highest level. Being a goalkeeper, it might not happen until you're 25, 26, and for me that's 5-6 years away. So I have to stay patient about it as well and just go one day at a time.
What's it like playing in Texas in that heat?
It's a lot hotter than Canada, that's for sure. Yeah, no, you got to get used to that heat. But otherwise, no, it's been good. A different environment, a different challenge. The team is great, the facilities are great, and I've been enjoying, getting something different in terms of that. And it's pushed me out of my comfort zone as well, because like I said, I've been, 5 years in Vancouver, almost 6 years, where everything's familiar, everybody's familiar, everyone knows you and this and that. So going somewhere new, dealing with a different climate, all that stuff, it was a change, but it's been good.
Good luck with everything. Weird to see you back, but congratulations and good luck for the rest of the season.
Keeper, you just made a decent save. So why do you feel the need to rant and rave? Screaming at defenders makes you look dead stupid, especially when they haven't done much wrong. Please cease the trait.
Marco Carducci there. It really was a weird feeling seeing him lining up against the Whitecaps, and as you heard there, the one thing he really did not want to happen was Marco Bustos scoring on him, and Boosty scored.
No, yeah, I agree. I the interview, like, I remember the first game he played for the Residency against Seattle, and when he saved that penalty, and I think that's up on your YouTube.
It's up on our YouTube channel. You can check that out.
Yeah, and it's remarkable to see. And the thing is, he's only 20, and it's so much more time to go. And
like Canadian PL seems an ideal fit for a young lad like that. You're going to get regular minutes, which is what he needs, and he's not getting it at Rio Grande. Didn't play today in their big win,
and he can play close to home too, and he'll probably be joined with whoever team plays in Calgary. Oh, there you go. So that is, as you heard before, that's shocked me there a little. A flash top 5, we're doing it all summer.
Don't know when these are going to happen.
Canada 150. We're doing all the young players that are moving up the ranks. So this is in honor of Marco Carducci. We're doing a top 5 goalkeepers of the future. It's U25 because, like I said, keepers are kind of develop at a later stage. And I even think U25 is kind of thing. I think you even go older than that. But so what we have is we have the top 5. Number 5, Dane Sinclair. He is an Ontario goalkeeper, 6'4". He's currently a sophomore in Maryland. He was the backup at the U20 championships. And he was an Ontario kid, but he's not from TFC. He's a Vaughan Academy, I think it was. Number 4, the guy we just talked to, Marco Carducci. 6'1", 20 years old, like I said. He's playing for Rio Grande. It's for him. I think he just signed too early with the Whitecaps, and I think he needed to either go to college or, like he's doing now, play for a different team and then come back. Because in his case, it was mostly Spencer Ritchie, I think, that got him. Because the signing or drafting of Spencer Ritchie really put him. Because Spencer Ritchie was a more developed goalkeeper coming out of college, so I think that kind of stunted his growth. Number 3, Residency keeper currently Thomas Hassel. He was the starter for the U20 team, in CONCACAF 2017 championships. Started all 3 games, even the 5-0 loss to Mexico. But the other 2 games, only that 1 goal against Honduras, he shut out. I think it was the other team, Antigua, something like that. I can't remember the team. But he's got rave reviews from a lot of people. Even people in America have heard of this guy, and they're expecting big things out of him. I think he was rated as the top prospect out of all the residency players for the Whitecaps. Number 2, I'm not going to be able to pronounce this name properly, probably. Matthew Nugaria. He is a former TFC Academy player, but he is now playing in Portugal with a team called Gil Vicente FC. They play in the Segunda. He plays for the U19 team there. Not much heard of him, but they have said that he is a solid prospect going forward. Again, he's only 19 years old, so a long time to go, because guys like Milan Borjan are not going anytime soon anywhere. Number 1, though, is the backup to Borjan at the last Gold Cup, Maxim Crepeau. I know he had a bit of an off game for that initial thing, but I think he is a decent player. He's currently obviously playing for the Impact. He's getting more starts in MLS. He was before playing mostly Canadian championships. He's only got 2 senior caps. His only start was against the United States, and it was a 1-0 loss, so it was a decent performance. But once again, that top 5 this week, the top 5 under 25 goalkeepers, not U35.
No, I mean, it's certainly a good list, and the Whitecaps have produced so many good goalkeepers over the years just in the Residency alone, and it's one of those positions. It's just unfortunate you're only going to get one guy playing it in a game, and usually at club level, if a guy is doing so well like you did here, it's hard for these young guys to get minutes.
And and eventually guys like, because it's still young, like we said, Marco Carducci, Callum Irving, he's playing for Ottawa right now. He could be up there.
Yep.
Sean Melvin's currently the starter, half sharing the starter duties with Spencer Ritchie for the USL team. So those guys can come out of nowhere and start playing well and bypass one of these guys. It's very possible. You don't know what goalkeepers. Whenever we do,
they develop late.
Whenever we do Residency top 5, I hate ranking goalkeepers because it's so hard to judge where they're going to be, and I always have to go to the goalkeeping experts. Even if I'm watching them, it's so hard to judge where they will be in 5 years or 10.
Yeah, it's good top 5 for me. I think nothing interchangeable there. So
some folk might think it's a little strange that Hassel we're ranking at above Carducci, obviously because he's younger, but Carducci has plateaued and if anything has kind of taken a little bit of a step back.
Yeah, that's the only concern.
Yeah.
That's why Carducci was a step up. I think he can turn it around just as easily. And,
totally.
And he can be that goalkeeper in 3-4 years that everybody was expecting at 18.
Just has to do with his playing time. So.
Yeah, I mean, the game against the Caps midweek was his 5th start in a row, but prior to that, he had hardly had any sort of regular minutes. It's a problem with the USL teams, and you see it here. They're splitting the goalkeeper duties. There's 3 of them at Houston, and then you also have the backups in the MLS team that can come down and play as well. So good luck to all those guys. It's another very strong position for Canada going forward. So we're just going to wrap up this segment of the show with another one of my fun segments.
Fish and chips, chips and fish. My, oh my, what a wonderful dish. Put some salt and vinegar on, and you'll be licking your lips.
So Stuart, if you're out and you're having fish and chips,
Yes.
do you have salt and vinegar, or salt and sauce?
All 3. Brown sauce.
Of course, it has to be brown sauce.
Yeah.
That's great.
Salt, vinegar, brown sauce.
I was trying to explain what brown
Mix it
sauce
all in.
was to someone.
And not even like HP. I like the chippy chip shop.
Oh, of course,
like
yeah.
chippy.
That's what I can't explain to folk.
Yeah,
But
I like
that's
that.
great. Thanks so much.
How much is the fish? How much is the fish? How much is the chips? Does the fish have chips? How much is the fish? How much is the chips? How much is the fish? Does the fish have chips?
Stewart Kerr there talked about chippy brown sauce, which I'm guessing neither of you two know what we're talking about.
No, I've tried it before. It's like the HP sauce or whatever you call it.
Yeah,
but
HP sauce.
It's not strictly HP sauce.
Similar,
HP sauce
similar.
yes.
It's similar.
It's a secret that goes in it, which is kind of malt vinegar, and it just makes it a lot more tangy. It's what you want to know at this time of night, and we'll be back with more of this chat after this.
Hi, I'm Carl Robinson. You're listening to the AFTN podcast.
Where do you find all these gems? I don't.
This
It's
is
just time in Scotland.
Yeah, this is Idlewild, one of my favourite Scottish bands of all time. Lost count how many times I've seen them, way into a couple of dozens. Last night I missed all the fireworks, which I did, and I was hoping for a few more fireworks on the pitch, but sadly there wasn't.
The fireworks were fantastic last night. They were really good.
Anyway, you're listening to the AFTN Soccer Show on CITR Radio, and the AFTN Soccer Show is brought to you in partnership with bcsoccerweb.com, your one-stop site for all your links of local, national and international stories, really. And we've been doing a segment of headlines, and Steve, I think you had a few lined up for this week.
Yeah, quite a few. It was difficult to narrow some of them down. There was some big news in the world of football. Some of the ones that were kind of missed what we were going to talk about. And quick headlines. For example, former LA Galaxy and Tottenham Hotspur legend Robbie Keane has signed for the India Super League. Obviously, the Neymar stuff is huge. That was a major headlines, and it was kind of funny because one day they said that Barcelona confirmed that he wanted to leave, and then the next day there was an article where La Liga refused the check of they actually went to the office of La Liga to give the check and they refused it. Apparently that's what they said in the article.
Obscene amount of money anyway. It's absolutely ridiculous.
Spitting him out.
Yeah, and then they wanted to try to say that it's financial fair play, but you can't prove that for a couple of years, so it's pointless. Obviously, the article about one you didn't want to talk about for sure was England breaking their 43-year winless streak against France in women's soccer.
Yeah, move on.
Russians' new league that they're kind of repackaging. Foreign soccer stars buying lower league teams in the U.S.
Didier Drogba, cough.
Yeah.
I don't know if you saw his goal this weekend. Free kick was very...
I still don't think we're going to see him at Thunderbird somehow on September 24th.
If you do get the chance, scored a 40-yard free kick for Phoenix. So
wow.
Yeah, it was pretty incredible.
Another one with Freddie Adu trialing with a Polish team where the manager was saying it was a joke. Nobody told him about it. And
how old is he now? He must be in his 50s.
Oh, he looks like he's in the 50s.
I think he's 25.
Yeah, something like that. But he seems like he's been there for so long that he's been there. Then you have Dundee United using Twitter to try to sell their keeper, Cammy Bell. They actually tweeted it out that he's available.
I tried that with Russell Tiber, and no one bought him.
We might have talked about Zach's piece, missing pieces, continue to play supporter culture, but he's not here, so we're not going to talk about it.
Very good article, though. If you get a chance to read it,
it got massive views on the site.
Yeah, and then kind of a follow BBC Sport. They did their kind of, you said, annual survey where they asked fans, and the 2/3 of fans say clubs do not care about them. And you said that people usually go negative when they do that. So
the folk that fill in those kind of surveys are usually people that's got a gripe. People that are happy don't fill in surveys. It's like, I don't leave reviews on hotels and stuff or restaurants.
If you like it.
Yeah. I only think of leaving it if I've had a really bad time.
Yeah, agreed.
Okay, so the top 3 articles that we're going to discuss a little bit here. First one from Steve Sandor's site, the11.ca. Large number of players, agents already making inquiries about PDL. Second article...
Canadian PL.
Oh, Canadian PL, sorry. Then Soccer America had a site, an article about promotion and relegation going to arbitration, the Court of Arbitration, and what they kind of broke it down to say what it's going to take to get this promotion relegation, what kind of hurdles they have. And the third one is from SBI, Detroit MLS expansion group closing in on stadium site. So another expansion team possibly coming to MLS.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the first one of that, the Canadian PL, not been a lot of news come out this week about the Canadian PL. The last thing which we talked about a little bit last week was the possibility of teams in Saskatchewan, which is good. But yeah, Stephen Sandor's article basically said that a number of players, not Canadians, but international players, have been looking and inquiring about what it would take to come and play in the Canadian PL, how many international slots they're going to have. And the players kind of break down into guys that have been here before, or guys that want to come here, or they've got family here, or they've got a girlfriend here, stuff like that. So I don't think there is going to be a shortage of quality players. And we do know that initially there's going to be a higher number of internationals than we might see in the league a few years down the line. So I think it's good if we can attract a good quality talent, no matter where they come from, in the initial years of this league, because as we keep saying, it's all about making the right first impression.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see the setup of the league and how things go. There's an immaculate amount of interest in Saskatchewan when they don't even have a team yet. They had a meeting as well, so it's just cool to see the hype of all this. People maybe don't watch Whitecaps soccer, MLS soccer for that matter. They come in and they want to know what it's all about, and it's really cool to see the exposure of this league. Oh, mysterious league, what's going on with that? So people definitely get intrigued by different storylines that are going on.
Yeah, and then, okay, so the next article, the pro relegation, it's the same Miami FC guy that, I think it's the same guy
Silva.
that tried to offer him $4 billion that we talked about last week. And now he's trying to take him to court. He's saying that in FIFA's regulations that it says that there should be promotion relegation. No, but it should,
but when you read it, like they're hanging their hat on this one subsection. And you can read it both ways, and I have a feeling that this is just going to get thrown straight out of court. But Silva's also this week been linked with putting his money in with David Beckham. And that going with the MLS Miami bid as well, which I still don't think Miami should get or deserves to get an MLS
Orlando
team.
already has a team. One in Florida is good enough. That's a lot of travel as well.
But I mean...
they might want a rivalry between Orlando and somebody.
I mean, I want, as we talked about last week, I want nothing more than pro-rel. And this was the chance to really shape a great future for North American soccer, to have a proper pyramid with promotion and relegation. It's not going to happen.
No.
Going to the courts is not going to get this to happen either. I tip my hat to Stockade FC, who are a fantastic little NPSL team as well, doing everything right. But I think this will get thrown out and they'll be told to go down some other avenues.
Look, remember that in North America, no other league in North America in any other sport has promotion relegation.
Yeah.
So that's not going to work, because they said they might go to the U.S. federal court. That's not going to really work.
Well, there had also been talk in England that a number of the top Premiership teams were talking about having a closed Premier League, similar to the MLS system.
Yeah.
Which would be dreadful and like a killer for the game there.
The thing is you can't... we talked about it last week too, but if you're going to do promotion relegation, you have to scrap the salary cap, because you can't have to let the kind of the tentpole cities like New York, LA, you have to let them spend.
Yeah, well,
so
look at the Galaxy.
They don't get relegated.
Technically, if the Galaxy continue a bad run, they could finish bottom of the West, and then that would possibly have seen them relegated.
And that would be horrendous for the league, because you don't want, honestly, no matter what Garber says, you don't want. Let's say I'm going to use Columbus. You don't want a Columbus in your league and LA in your second division.
And teams have bad seasons. Look at Chelsea, the season that Mourinho got sacked, where they were down the bottom for a big spell.
Yeah.
And you never thought they were going to get relegated, but I mean, it happens.
Yeah.
But I mean, talking about MLS expansion, that brings us to the third and final story, which is about Detroit.
This is a surprising one. I didn't expect Detroit. I know they have a good soccer culture with the lower level team, but I didn't expect...
The NPSL team, Detroit City FC, are fantastic. It's like they're everything a football team should be. A bit like TSS Rovers, really, in a way. It's like they do everything properly. The majority of their fans don't like MLS.
Yeah.
They don't want to be in the MLS. They don't want Detroit City to be the team that's attached to the bid for a Detroit thing. Now, there's 10 cities been shortlisted for 4 expansion spots.
Which would put the
and
league...
Detroit's one of them.
Would put the league to what?
24. That's the largest league in the whole wide world for soccer. So,
and you have to think the next 2 look certain to be Miami, which I can't believe, because I don't think they deserve it. But Garber had made comments this week that he's going to Miami either this coming week or the week after, hoping to announce some good news. So you have to think they're one of the next 2. Sacramento is expected to be one of the next 2 as well.
Cincinnati?
Well, that's the thing. Then you've got 8 clubs fighting for 2 spots, and Cincinnati's right up there. And you have to think they want San Diego to possibly be in it now as well.
I want San Diego to be a team.
Is Nashville the other one?
Nashville's one, and then you've also got in Carolina, they're looking at stuff as well. St. Louis is looking at stuff. There's so many teams pushing for it. And you have to think, although they're saying this is going to be the end, it's not going to be any more, if teams are willing to pay $200 million or whatever it's going to be by that
bring
point.
them on in.
Remember, like I said, the other leagues, they have about 30. Some of them have 32, some have 30, some have... Yeah, I think 30 is the minimum teams right now.
Well, I mean, USL's got 30, and then they're adding some more teams next year as well.
Oh, Fresno.
So, I mean, I think they're going to be up to 33 or 34, and they just announced they're having an expanded season. But they do East and West, so they can get away with that.
I was just going to mention quickly about Detroit. It'd be cool to see them form a rivalry with TFC, but TFC would not be the happiest of campers, because if some of their fans come from the US, say some of them might, then they might lose them to Detroit.
Yeah,
so
I mean,
it's definitely a marketing
guys
thing.
from Windsor that head to
I don't think so. I think that's quite a bit of distance.
Not a whole lot, but...
well, I mean, the key thing is all these bids have to have a stadium.
Yeah.
So this story about Detroit being approved for their stadium puts them way ahead of all these other possibilities.
The other thing is Detroit is not a well-off city. They always had financial troubles, and like for example, in the article they mentioned that on this site there's a jail that they built that's been sitting there for 5 years.
It's not even finished.
Yeah,
it's an unfinished jail.
Yeah, so they're going to turn that into an entertainment center afterwards. So it'll be weird,
bizarre. Hopefully the bars aren't still up, although there might be different kinds of bars that's there. But I mean, Detroit City, they just set a record on Saturday. For it was over 7,500 fans came to their NPSL semi-final.
That's a big
sold out within hours. They've been getting over 30,000 watching their streams. And folk around the world are really buying into what they do, but their fans don't want anything really to do with MLS. But there has been, I've read some articles, there has been little carrots dangled by the guys behind the Detroit MLS bid that they might try and tempt Detroit City and say, we'll still do all your community stuff, we'll still do all your charity stuff. The fans will still have a say. And although the owners might be in good intentions to do that, once they get an MLS clamp down on those things, so it might not be as good at all.
It'd be interesting to see how that works out.
But if you haven't checked out Detroit City, check out their website, look at some of their stuff on YouTube. The tifo, the smoke, the fans, the atmosphere, definitely a place I want to see a game. And you'd have a great rivalry right away with FC Cincinnati if they got in.
Yeah.
Not too close, but I mean, we were based in Detroit for the World Cup, and then we went to Ohio for a couple of days as well.
Yeah.
Although Cincinnati's the other end of Ohio.
Yeah, so
but still would be a good rivalry.
Columbus and Cincinnati more of a rivalry. Detroit, Minnesota, and Chicago. That's
Columbus
rivalry.
actually would be the big one.
Yeah.
Obviously, Cincinnati get more fans.
Yeah.
So we'll see what happens with that. Now it's time for our Wavelength section of the show. I'm wearing my 1994 World Cup T-shirt. One size fits all, it said, as I tried it on tonight and thought I was wearing a tent. It's American, so obviously that's one size fits all Americans. But the 1994 World Cup, this song was meant to be the official England anthem for it, or it was going to be up there for the official England anthem, but England didn't qualify. This was a song recorded in 1993 by the band James. A lot of you might know them. Their worldwide hit, Sit Down. In the sessions that they did for their album Laid, they did a song called Low, 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 produced by Brian Eno, the whole sessions. And then they were just messing around afterwards, and they did a football-themed song based on the tune for Low, Low, Low called Goal, Goal, Goal. And that's what we're going to play for you now. James there and Go, Go, Go. If you want to find that, it's on a B-side to their 1999 single, Just Like Fred Astaire. And you can also find it on the 1994 official FIFA World Cup album, Gloryland.
Oh, they still included it?
Yeah. It's a very good song, and James are a great band. If you want to find out more by them, I recommend starting off with their debut album, Stutter, one of my all-time favourite albums. But that is pretty much it for this episode of the show. Just want to read a tweet we got in, Steve, just based on your Flash 5, from Greg Petrie at Our Dumb World.
He disagrees, I'm assuming.
No, he says he thinks there's going to be a shortage of Canadian talent for the Canadian PL, but goalie might be the exception.
Yeah, I think so. I think the goalies definitely should be mostly Canadian. I see, even beyond this one, there's more and more developing all the time.
There's going to be some kind of rule in regards to Canadians for that.
So that is it for this episode of the show. I'm sorry we did not open any stickers this week. I had planned to, but I didn't make it along to PharmaSave. The meltdown last week was very popular, surprisingly. I didn't think opening stickers on the radio would have gone down so well, but it did. So we'll maybe bring it back next week. And to tie in with that, I do have a Wavelength song I can play all about Panini stickers. So I might double dip with that. But just before we go, just let everyone know where they can find you online. Gideon?
At Gideon_Hill18 on Twitter.
And you can find me, Steve, at Whitecaps Beat.
I'm Michael McCaw. You can find me on Twitter at AFTN Canada. Read our stuff away from the numbers, aftn.ca. I'm also the Whitecaps beat reporter for MLSsoccer.com. And give us a follow on Instagram, at AFTN Soccer. But that is it for this week's episode. Hope you've enjoyed it. Looking forward to the Caps finishing up their road trip in New England this weekend. Until then, thanks for listening. Take care. And mon the Cap.
One day I shall come back. Yes, I shall come back. Until then, there must be no regrets, no tears, no anxieties. Just go forward in all your beliefs and prove to me that I am not mistaken in mine.